Chapter 3. The Ascent begins. Willow, Ash, and Fern left Burrow's End behind, stepping onto a narrow trail that zigzagged up Ember Peak's lower slopes. The path was well worn but had not been used heavily in recent years, since the conduit beneath the volcano rarely required maintenance. Indeed, many in the orchard caretaker community believed Ember Peak lay mostly dormant. This quake had changed that notion abruptly. The ascent begins. For the first few hours, the trio's journey was uneventful. Far below, orchard farmland and orchard expansions spread out like a peaceful mosaic, looking serene from a distance. Cautious yet determined, they trudged along. Willow found the trail's initial stretch relatively gentle, flanked by patches of scrubby bushes. Meanwhile, Ash scanned every bend for rockfalls or quake damage. Fern paused often to collect data, measuring small cracks in the ground. As they climbed higher, vegetation thinned, replaced by rocky outcroppings. Loose gravel made their footing treacherous, reminding them that orchard expansions, so stable and fertile, were far below. Here the mountain reigned supreme. The orchard caretaker, once completely at home in the orchard stableyard, might have felt out of place in this harsh landscape. Nonetheless, the group pressed on, occasionally glimpsing columns of steam venting from hidden fissures in the rock. Subtle tension. Though the day was mild, a simmering tension underpinned each step. Each faint rumble or echo in the distance made them halt, hearts pounding. What if a stronger quake struck while they were halfway up the slope? Willow forced herself to stay brave. Her orchard caretaker friends in the valley needed clarity about the threat. Ash, usually cautious, showed surprising grit, forging ahead to find the most stable footholds. Fern's scientific focus spurred her to note temperature surges in the cracks they passed. They all sensed a hidden menace lurking under Ember Peak's rocky crust. They observed subtle signs of geological stress, a newly formed crack slicing across part of the trail, a small rock slide that had blocked an older route. Most concerning was the faint warmth radiating from deeper vents. The orchard caretaker's orchard expansions had never contended with this kind of volcanic heat, but if the conduit was failing, the entire orchard expansions and farmland back home faced potential meltdown, or at least a catastrophic quake. A chance encounter. Around midday, the path curved around a boulder field. Willow's ears perked at a soft hiss. She immediately signaled the others to freeze. A slender shape slithered between the rocks. Could it be Moltar, the rumoured Fire Serpent guardian? Stories claimed a serpentine spirit roamed Ember Peak's interior, but few truly believed in it. The orchard caretaker had read tales, yet always assumed them mythical. At first, the shape remained half hidden in steam curling from a nearby vent. Slowly, a sinuous serpent-like form emerged, its scales shimmering with a molten glow. Willow's breath caught. Ash gripped his pack strap, unsure how to proceed. Fern's eyes went wide as she scrambled for her notepad, her scientific curiosity kicking into high gear. The serpent spoke in a low rasp. "Why do you trespass here, small ones?" Its voice echoed around the rocky pass, tinged with mild curiosity. Willow swallowed hard. "We come from Burrow's End," she began. "A quake struck our town. We suspect the conduit is failing." Her voice trembled, though she tried recalling the orchard caretaker's usual courage. "We want to see if we can fix it." Moltar's warning. Moltar coiled tighter, revealing glowing veins along its body. Yes, the ancient conduit is weakened. For centuries it channeled volcanic heat, preventing violent eruptions. But neglect, time, and minor quakes have frayed it. Ember Peak grows restless. Fern, her eyes alight with curiosity, stepped forward. "Is there a specific crack or choke point we should examine? We suspect one near the upper vents." Moltar nodded slowly, flicking its serpentine tongue. "Farther up, the old stone conduit's main chamber is cracked. Lava and pressure test these faults. Repair is possible but requires great labour. You must hurry." the sleeping giant grows uneasy. Ash and Willow exchanged tense looks. Their fears were confirmed. If Ember Peak unleashed bigger tremors, or worse, then the orchard caretaker's orchard expansions, plus all farmland and homes, were at grave risk. Willow mustered her voice. "We have friends in town. Carpenters, diggers, orchard caretakers with resources. We can gather them to fix the conduit. Will you guide us?" Moltar paused, molten eyes studying them. "I can lead you to the conduit's entrance. The rest is yours to manage. Be swift. Nature's fury waits for no one." Finding the conduit entrance. Following Moltar's winding path, they traversed a steeper ridge around blackened rocks. Occasionally, bursts of hot steam forced them to cover their faces. Ash meticulously tested each foothold to avoid slipping. Fern scribbled frantic notes on the vent placements. Willow silently prayed that the orchard caretaker families below wouldn't face destruction, that orchard expansions or farmland wouldn't be undone by the volcano's wrath. Eventually, they reached a broad ledge near the summit's slope. A weathered stone arch jutted from the rock face, partially hidden by rubble. Within, a tunnel yawned open, the ancient conduit. Faded carvings adorned the arch, likely made by ancestors who first harnessed Ember Peak's heat. Moltar flicked his tail toward the entrance. Within, you shall see the cracks. Tread carefully. Heat and gases lurk. He then coiled back into swirling steam. Summon me if you truly commit to repair. Ember Peak's balance depends on your unity. With that, the serpent vanished into the mist, leaving behind only the faint hiss of volcanic air. A glimpse of the damage. The trio hesitated at the entrance, where a faint glow flickered deeper inside. Steam hissed in rhythmic pulses. Fern tested the air with a small instrument, registering raised temperatures. Willow's heart thumped. This was the crucial spot orchard caretaker families never ventured. Ancestors had built it ages ago, trusting it would endure. Now she, Ash, and Fern had to confirm the threat. They took cautious steps into the gloomy interior. The stone walls glistened with dripping condensation. The floor felt warm beneath their paws. Turning a corner, they spotted a wide fracture slicing across the ceiling, with red embers of heat seeping from within. The structure looked dangerously unstable. Further quakes could rend it apart completely. Ash exhaled shakily. So, it's worse than we feared. The orchard caretaker's orchard expansions below, actually all of Burrow's End, could be in danger if this collapses. Willow glanced from the crack to the faint glow beyond. Ember Peak's molten core lurked behind that barrier, indeed stirring. She squared her shoulders. "We must tell Elder Maple. We'll need the entire town, everyone's help to fix this. Otherwise, the orchard expansions and farmland are in peril." Fern nodded, mentally planning how they might shore up the cracked arch. "Yes, Bracken can handle the engineering. Orchard caretaker families can offer materials. Moles can dig. Basically, the whole community must unite. Otherwise, it won't hold." Descending with resolve, retracing their steps out to the open ledge, they paused one last time. Ember Peak's summit towered overhead, silent except for the hiss of steam. The trio's hearts hammered, aware of how urgent the situation was. Moltar's guidance confirmed they were on the clock. The orchard caretaker families had to be warned quickly. Willow set her jaw. "Let's hurry back and gather everyone. Orchard caretaker expansions and farmland must be protected from further quakes. Or worse." Ash eyed the conduit arch with grim resolve. "It's bigger than we thought, but we can handle it. If everyone cooperates." Fern tucked her notepad under an arm, voice shaking yet resolute. "Without orchard caretaker synergy, we face a catastrophe. Let's go. They must be told." They began the descent, hearts heavy with the knowledge that Ember Peak's slumber was truly ending. The orchard caretaker expansions, farmland, An entire community depended on a massive effort to fix the ancient conduit. The moral of community cooperation had never felt more vital. If orchard caretaker families and farmland were to survive, the town had to unite, every skill harnessed to quell the threat. Unaware of how monumental the next steps would be, they marched with determined hearts toward the final stage, rallying all paws for the biggest repair job in living memory.